Some people are born into their name, their role, their story, like it was always waiting for them. Others have to fight for every inch of it, carving their identity out of the wreckage of systems that didn't know what to do with them. Melissa Vargas belongs to the latter. She didn't just arrive in the world of volleyball as a prodigy, she arrived like a quiet storm, gathering force with every serve, every silence, every rejection she turned into momentum. What she built was never handed to her. It was claimed, piece by piece, country by country, match by match. She was born on October 16, 1999, in Cienfuegos, Cuba, a place where dreams are both sacred and conditional. In a country where sports are elevated to state-level matters, talent like Melissa's is spotted early and often consumed fast. She picked up a volleyball when she was barely 6, but by the age of 13, she wasn't just good for her age. She was being drafted into the Cuban national team. At 14, she was already playing on stages most players never reach. Cuba saw her as a crown jewel, a rising star destined to be their next great champion. But what no one prepared Melissa for was that brilliance, especially when wrapped in youth and independence, makes some people uncomfortable. She wasn't loud. She wasn't political. But she didn't bend easily either. She played her game. She protected her body. She listened to her instincts. And when a shoulder injury pulled her off the court during a professional season abroad, she made the unforgivable decision, in the eyes of her federation, to seek treatment on her own terms. That choice cost her everything. The Cuban volleyball authorities hit her with a 4-year ban from representing her own country. 4 years of silence. 4 years of distance. 4 years of becoming a stranger to the very flag she had once played beneath with pride. That kind of loss would have shattered most people. To be exiled from the country that made you, forced to watch from afar as your peers carried on without you. But exile has a strange way of revealing who you really are. Melissa Vargas didn't break. She built. She left Cuba and began anew, not as a star, but as a young woman in Switzerland, playing club volleyball while waiting for her body to heal and her future to clarify. It was a quiet kind of rebuilding. No medals. No parades. Just long hours in gyms and ice baths, private doubts, and a refusal to let go of the thing that made her feel alive. From Switzerland, she moved to Turkey, and that was the start of something seismic. Turkey, especially the Fenerbahçe club, didn't just offer her a contract. They offered her a second home. And Melissa repaid that belief tenfold. She wasn't just strong. She was electric. A devastating opposite hitter with a serve like thunder and the calm of someone who had already lived several lifetimes. In Turkey, she didn't just return to form. She transcended it. She became a force. Fans adored her. Teammates rallied around her. Her name was no longer a whisper of what could have been, it was a declaration of what was. But belonging doesn't always come with borders. Even as she thrived in Turkey, Melissa carried the ache of disconnection. She had no national team to call her own. No anthem. No Olympic dream. And then, quietly, she made a decision that would change the course of her story forever. In 2021, she became a Turkish citizen. It wasn't a betrayal of Cuba, it was an evolution. A choice born not from politics, but from gratitude. Turkey had embraced her. And now, she would wear its colors with pride. When she finally returned to international competition in 2023, she didn't just reintroduce herself. She arrived like a reckoning. That summer, she led Turkey to its first ever FIV Volleyball Nations League gold medal. Scoring, blocking, serving with a level of command that made every broadcaster pause and every fan gasp. She was named MVP. Weeks later, she did it again at the European Championships. Another gold. Another MVP title. And in the final, she put up an astonishing 41 points, carrying Turkey past a powerhouse Serbian side in a match that felt more like myth than sport. By the end of 2023, there was no debate. Melissa Vargas had become the best volleyball player in the world. She topped rankings. She shattered serve speed records. And yet, what resonated most wasn't the stats, it was the symbolism. Here was a woman who had been cast aside by the system that raised her, now standing on the highest podiums, not with vengeance, but with grace. She hadn't screamed her way back into relevance. She had worked, quietly, fiercely, with a kind of spiritual dignity that made her both iconic and deeply human. And then came Paris. At the 2024 Olympics, Melissa stepped onto the court with the Turkish flag stitched to her chest and the world watching closely. There, she delivered another masterclass, becoming the first Cuban-born volleyball player to score over 30 points in a single Olympic match. The arena buzzed. Reporters scrambled for angles. But Melissa, she stayed grounded. Her focus was never on headlines. It was on service. To the game. To the people who had believed in her when the rest of the world turned its back. And through it all, she remained Melissa. Off the court, she's soft-spoken, almost reserved. She posts photos of her dogs. She shares her favorite songs. She speaks candidly about her childhood, her family, her faith. Her tattoos tell the story that her stat sheets don't. A pair of shoes, one worn out and one new, inked permanently on her body as a tribute to the miles she's walked and the journey still ahead. She doesn't boast. She doesn't beg for applause. And yet, she gets it anyway, because greatness always finds the light. There's a reason why her fans don't just wear her jersey, they defend her name like it's a cause. Because in Melissa Vargas, they don't just see power or talent. They see endurance. They see proof that you can lose your place and still find your way. That you can be exiled and still rise. That identity isn't about borders, it's about belonging to your own truth, no matter where the map points. As of now, Melissa has collected trophies in nearly every corner of the world. She has dominated leagues in China, the Czech Republic, Switzerland, and Turkey. Her trophy cabinet is impressive, yes, but what she carries more than medals is meaning. She doesn't just play. She leads. She doesn't just win. She uplifts. Young players around the world, especially girls, watch her and understand that power can look like poise. That humility can coexist with dominance. That strength can be built in silence. And yet, Melissa is still only in her mid-20s. Her story is far from over. More championships will come. More records will fall. But the lasting legacy she is building has little to do with numbers. It's about narrative. She's showing that greatness doesn't have to come from the expected path. That starting over doesn't mean starting from scratch. That you can carry pain without letting it define you. She is not a symbol of revenge. She's a symbol of renewal. Of how to leave with your head high, and return not with anger, but with light. And in a world that often demands you shrink yourself to be accepted, Melissa Vargas offers a different lesson. Show up full. Show up loud. Show up proud of every scar and every second chance. So if her story has stirred something in you, if it reminded you of someone who was underestimated, cast aside, or told they had to choose between their identity and their dream, then don't keep it to yourself. Like this. Share it. Subscribe for more stories that defy category, that break molds, that remind us what the human spirit is capable of when it refuses to stay silent. Because Melissa Vargas isn't just one of the best volleyball players in the world. She's one of the bravest stories in sport. And she's just getting started.